Thanks again, Crystal, for hopping on to another episode of Untapped Stories. I'm super pumped to chat to you today. I know we were talking a bit before show, and for people who don't know, you were named one of our top 40 coaches for the year. So we know you have an awesome background in coaching and playing. But I think for the audience, I love to start with this question just to have them get to know more about you as a person and a coach. So if you can go back for us maybe to your earliest days, just kind of explain what sports meant to you as a kid, how those early experiences shaped who you became, later in life as a player and a coach. That'd be a great place to start.
Okay. Well, firstly, thanks for having me on. And it is such an honor to be here and talk with you. Going back to my early days, so I'm originally Nigerian, born in Nigeria. I started playing tennis in Nigeria when I was really young. And then I played for the Nigerian team. So I went to ITF juniors with them, and that just started my whole journey with tennis. And I guess tennis as a team sports too, because when you start in that phase, then you think of it as oh, we're here supporting each other. So it made it better and more fun for me throughout my college years. And then after that, my parents moved to Houston. And so we lived there for a couple years, and I played at USTA and played some tournaments in that, and then moved back to Nigeria. And it was hard for me to play tennis and go to the school that I was going to. So I finished my high school years playing at Maratogu Tennis Academy in France. And that was a really, really great experience. I think it was probably the first time where I chose to play tennis, not kind of like something that my parents were doing for me or making me do. I just made a lot of friends from different countries and had a different outlook on tennis. And then after that, I went to play D1 for Longwood University in Virginia. That taught me kind of the grit of tennis, playing college sports, the ins and outs, and it fostered me to become the person I am today, basically, because you grow a lot in college, and depending on who your coach is and who your teammates are, that helps you and challenges you in different ways. And after that, I worked for a year for my university, and then I went to do my master's in sports management in Rome, Italy. And I was there with Rome City Institute, and that was more of a release where I could learn about sports management and then also play my sport. It was not as intense as college, which is something that I definitely needed because college was super, super intense. And then I worked with them for a little bit too after, and I came to work for the United States Tennis Association for the Florida section. I worked with them for a year, putting on sectional events for all the adult divisions. So we did, whether it's the adult recreational tennis, so sectionals before they go to nationals. And then I also worked with the club tennis on campus events and put on their sectionals before they go to nationals and helping building programs and stuff like that. Then I left that at the beginning of last year, started coaching more. And yeah, that's where I am right now.
I think anybody who listens to that, the moral of the story for me is that sports can take you all over the world and do really cool things for you in life. Not just, getting you to college is obviously one really good thing, but the chance to learn from other people in other countries, make teammates, make lifelong friends, and kind of have a vehicle to drive you throughout your entire childhood. I guess maybe just one question. Were you, and I'm out of curiosity, I'm also reading, coincidentally, the Andre Agassi Open book now, which is really eye-opening. But were you kind of like him? Did your parents stick you in tennis thinking that it was going to be great for you long term, or was it just something that they maybe played and thought it'd be fun for you?
I'm pretty sure they believe that it would be something that would take me long term. Parents are always whatever you do it to your greatest potential. And my mom always said, your talents will make you sit in front of kings. And so I feel like tennis has brought me and taken me to different places. I've been in rooms that maybe I wouldn't have been in. So yeah, I think that was their idea, but they never really pressured me oh, you have to be number one in the world or go with it through the professional route. They're just do the best you can. And yeah.
That's really cool. What about, so along that journey, you're playing in France, you have a good high school career, and then you want to play at Longwood. What was the time in that journey when you realized that, okay, I'm actually pretty good, I can make it to college? And what did that process look like? Did you start to train more? Because I think a lot of young athletes who play individual sports as they get older, like a tennis, like a golf, even swimming, for instance, they know they're good, but they want to take that next step. How intense does it get trying to get to the college level when you're 12, 13, 14? Did you noticeably ramp it up, or were you just naturally talented and it kind of fell into place?
That's a good question. I think just because I started in Nigeria, and so the culture is tennis is an expensive sport, so a lot of people in Nigeria can't afford to play at such a level. And I was very fortunate that I could, and that my parents could provide in that way. And so being with a team from Nigeria and us being able to help them like go to different tournaments and things like that, I learned a lot from that situation, learned a lot from them. And I honestly wasn't the best player at all, but I think I offered something different that other than just being the best. And so when I went to France and I compared myself to some of the top players there, because we had a bunch of players who were there, I would say I knew that I was good. And I had to come to a realization that I might not go professional, but for sure I can play college tennis. And it just depends at what level you want to play at. And so being able to play at D1 level, which is the highest level, I think I just knew that I could put in that work, and I had that work ethic. And so that's what got me there. I feel like I'm always like, yeah, I'm not that good. I'm not that good. But then people are like, oh my gosh, like you're really good at tennis. But in my head, I think I just always kind of not put myself down, but I was just trying to be super realistic and know that there's thousands and thousands of people who want to play tennis. And sometimes you can't go professional. But yeah, I would say once I was graduating high school and I went into the college, it probably was my senior year in college that I was like, okay, maybe I am good at tennis.
That mindset is so helpful for young athletes to digest, because a lot of them probably have the flip. So kudos to you, maybe your parents and the way you were brought up for like having the realistic mindset. But I think a lot of kids think they're better than they are, which could be a problem as you get older. But if you have an idea of where you want to go and you're super honest with yourself about, I can play Division 1 or I can play Division 2 or 3, or I can even make the pros if, you really have that much talent. But just giving yourself like an honest look in the mirror is really refreshing, because I think a lot of middle schoolers, high schoolers, which is, we want people to dream, but when you get to that level, there's always a cutoff point and there's always somebody better than you. So having like an idea of mind of where you want to go, and, if the overshoot works out and you wind up playing pro, cool, but you're not let down because that wasn't your only goal that you were chasing. That's really honestly noble of you to kind of have that at an early age. You don't really find that often, I feel like, in high school athletes. That's really cool. What about once you got to college? So we've talked to a lot of like college basketball players, college football players, college baseball players, not many college tennis players though. So for people who want to play tennis in college, what was that like for you? Was it, and I would assume, this is maybe a good or bad assumption, I don't know, but I probably feel like it is more of an individual feel once you get to college, like less of what you were saying when you were a young kid, or is it a great team aspect and you build a lot of like, lifelong friends along the way? But what was it like playing college or tennis in college for you?
I think that's when it became more of a team sport for me, because how college works is that you first start with your doubles. And so you have 3 courts of doubles. And so you have to win 2 in order to get 1 point. And then you go into your individual singles. And just knowing a lot of times that doubles point is so important for your team to be able to win. And just having your teammates behind you when it's like almost a tie, and then you see the players run to their teammates after they've won that last match, like it makes it so much more of a team sport. And for me, like the girls that I had on my team were the ones that helped me push through and honestly survive college. I would say like your coach and your team environment is super, super important in how your college journey is going to go. I had like a rocky environment in college, but the toughest people come out of those types of situation. And so I was able to grow past that and then see it as a blessing and see it as, oh, like these people and my coach helped me grow into becoming a person who can go against the tough challenges of the actual world. College is definitely a team sport, and you definitely learn who you are and what type of player you are in a team environment. And that translates to what type of person you're going to be in an outside world work environment.
That's a good perspective. I wouldn't have known that as an outsider, not having played tennis in college, but I guess it makes sense though, because you're on that team with a roster and like the points do count from a total standpoint. It's not like you're just playing individual pro, which can be, I'm sure, a little more like in your own lane.
And you're doing everything together, training together, morning trainings, lifting together, doing extra training together, sometimes going to class together. So it's like a built-in friendship, a built-in group, and you're as much of a team sport as any other team sport out there.
That's really nice, I think, for parents and athletes to hear, knowing that you're not just siloed on campus by yourself. Maybe switching to coaching for a bit. So again, most of our audience is parents and young athletes who want to get better at sports, or whether it's tennis or not, they want to improve. What's one thing in particular you've seen young tennis players, maybe from your days coming up or even now coaching? Like what's a big mistake or something that they typically, get wrong the first time that you would always help athletes correct? And if they did this one thing, not that one thing will change everything, but it's an easy step to getting on the right path and playing much better tennis.
I think for the younger and the youth, it's just feeling like they know everything and feeling like they know how to get to where they want to go, because you don't know everything, you don't know all the processes, and you're kind of like you're just growing into it, you know? So coming with a mind of I'm going to let my coach coach me, take all I can from this, is super important. You don't want to be closed off, and you don't want to think that you know it all, because you're still young, and there's a lot of things that you don't know. And I think for parents, I would say putting too much pressure on your child. Like, I hate seeing that, because it actually hurts my heart when I see a child who is struggling because his parents or their parents are putting a lot of pressure on them to be the best, to train all the time, to do this and to do that. So I would say those are some mistakes. And then when it comes to like actually coaching, I would say choosing the right fit. Like, a coach is like a therapist, because there's not just one person who's going to be right immediately for your child. And just as when you go to therapy, you have to go through different therapists to choose the right person. Like, there's going to be one coach that's able to connect with your child.
That's really smart. I never thought about the last piece in particular. I've done a lot of coaching, but I mean, that's exactly right, though, because sometimes a current college athlete could be a good fit for a young athlete if they connect well. It could be an older coach with like decades of experience, because the athlete's a little bit older and they need that extra insight. It's just, there's a lot of good coaches out there, but finding the right fit for you, I think, is the most important. And I think that goes true for teams too. I think a lot of parents and young athletes, whether it's like finding the right club team, travel team, it's not always the best team that's the best fit for you. It's finding out what makes your child play the best and what helps them like really just excel the most. And that could be for them being one of the better players on an okay team, or it could be being an okay player on a great team, because they need that competition. So I think it's really smart to just look at it like your lens,
That is very, very true. I think finding your team is a collaborative effort between the parent and the child, and understanding, like, my brother's in that situation right now. He's going to college, and understanding, do you want to focus more on being in a team and playing D1, or do you want to go maybe D2 and focus more on education and other aspects like that? So it's definitely a collaborative effort, and that's really, really important. I wish I also like took that in when I was going into college and truly understood that aspect of what do you want to do and what division do you want to play in.
It's hard though. I mean, not to that, but it's when you're a young athlete, everybody has the vision of playing D1.
Yeah.
And then once you get there, it's, it's not all sunshine and rainbows, as you obviously know, but it can be worth it if it's what you really want, but you got to have that honest conversation with yourself if you're up for it. What about somebody you coached? I know you just kind of got into coaching in the US because you came back from Italy. And if you have any stories like this, I'm sure they haven't been from like a 10-year view standpoint, but any like really cool breakthroughs, or when you're coaching an athlete, have you seen it like really click at some point for a kid, even if it's not a young athlete, like a high school or college kid, adult? And what does that look like for the athletes? Like, when do they really start to understand the lessons that you're teaching them?
Yeah, so I basically coached my team, because I was the captain of the team in my senior year of college. And so just taking the trainings that my coach had given us throughout the 4 years or 3 years, and helping them grow, like just being a mentor and a friend to them. And then when I was in Italy, I also coached the tennis team there, like helping with the actual coach, like being an assistant coach. But I think when I was here, I was coaching a girl, and it made me realize the type of coach that I want to be. Like, I'm not on the court every day just feeding you balls type of coach. Like, I want to be more of a mentor. I want the coaching experience that you have with me to be encompassing of every single thing that it takes to become a tennis player. So that's being on the court, the mental aspect, like how to actually play the game, not just how to hit balls, and then also the physicality of it. So when I coach here, I want to include fitness training in my coaching, training that also has to do with like the functionality of being a tennis player and all those movements that you need to be able to be on the court. And that my college coach is actually the one who helped with that understanding, and like kind of gave me those resources to know like this is what we really need to actually perform well in tennis, and how to like play the sport. And so I would say just like asking and being a mentor, not just on the tennis court, but asking about their life and what they're going through, how was their day, things like that. It helped them like relax when they're playing with me. They're like, okay, like I trust this person. So yeah, and knowing that I'm looking out for their greater good, not just from hitting the ball, but then other aspects to help them feel more confident on the court.
I knew when our support team recommended that you were one of our top 40 coaches, just based on your background, to be an easy yes. But then hearing that answer too just confirms it wholeheartedly, because the best coaches always have that mindset. It's not just about the skills training. I think in today's day and age, you have to do both. Maybe 30, 40 years ago, it could just be weightlifting skills, and that's just what athletes wanted and needed. But to connect with a young athlete nowadays, there's so much going on in their life, whether it's a million things, social media pressure, peer pressure, parents being on them, like overtraining, whatever it is. If you aren't able to get, not that you want to get in their head, but if you aren't able to connect them on a personal level, the skills training will only go so far. I've had that happen so many times, and it's so cool to see where I'm training with like maybe a middle schooler. I remember one girl in particular, the first couple of lessons, she was so quiet. And then by lesson 5, 6, 7, she was telling me all about her friends and like her lunch table. And I'm like, okay, this is so cool, but we have to do a little bit of basketball training. But like, if they can start to do that with you, that's when you know you have a really good relationship built, and then the skills just compound on top of that. But if you don't have the connection, it's just hard to make real progress. So shout out to you for building that in your training sessions.
Thank you.
A couple more questions. This has been so fun, by the way, Crystal. But what about from the tennis standpoint? It's probably, if not definitely one of the most mentally exhausting sports. What's something you can help athletes do in a really tough match to stay composed when, it's a 2-3 hour individual match and they're going on forever and your body's so tired? Like, how do you always mentally stay sharp in a tough situation on the tennis court?
I think just coming from my experience playing college too, is that you have to remember your training. And you can only do that if you've trained for those moments. And when I was in college, we definitely trained for those moments. We had mass, and we would play tennis in our mass that restrict oxygen. So like we had the stamina to be there. Exactly. And so you just had to remember your training and how you did have the pressure, like this fake pressure there, and apply it to what it is now. And so when I do coach, I do put this pressure. I'm like, okay, you are love 30 down, and if you don't win this, then we're going to have to do a lap or something like that. So like make the training kind of resemble an match-like situation. But you can only say that if you've had like the type of training that you need in order to be in that situation. And then another point of relief would probably be just to know, like, just remember who you are, have fun. I think like I was at a cheerleading competitions and these girls came up to me and they were talking, and I was just like, the last thing I said was like, remember to have fun, because sometimes it literally feels like this is the only thing that matters in our whole entire life. Yep. And the world is on me. If I don't do this right, like it's going to be over. You just have to like bring the player out of that situation and remind them that like, you're going to go get ice cream after this. Like, you're fine. Have fun and just play your match. And then they take themselves out of like the situation where they're tight, and then they relax and they're like, okay. But it is hard no matter what. It's still going to be hard because like as a tennis player, you create sequences in your head. And so I've been in the situation where I'm 5-2 up and suddenly it's 7-5 and I've lost. And if we keep thinking like that, like it'll replicate itself over and over again. And it's like this mental block. So I don't know, removing yourself from that situation and relying on the training that you've had before.
And I'm trying to think I haven't played much competitive tennis, really just recreationally, but is the Kobe mindset, like, would that be really applied to tennis here where it's like job's not done? Because I feel like every single match, every single point, like it matters, and you can't let one slip, because the next time you do, like you said, you go from 5-2 to 7-5. Yeah. Like, is that it too? Like always staying, not getting complacent. It's easier maybe in other sports to hide, because if you have in basketball a quick 10 points and your average is 15, you're kind of like, oh, well, I'm close to my average and my team will pick up the rest. But in tennis, like it's either if you're in a doubles, it's just you and one other person, or if you're an individual, it's just you. So you can't let that slip. So how do you, like, is it consistently staying on top of it throughout the match too? It
is. It's like, it's thinking of every single point as it is a new point. Like, you're not thinking of what the score is at that moment. You're just, every single point is a new point. And my coach would say, like, it's not done until it's done. Like, your match is not over. Like, stay in it. So sometimes I'd be like, oh my gosh, I'm up 5-2. But then I'd be like, no, like, Crystal, you still have 4 points to win in order to win this game and to win the match. Even thinking about that is too far off. You have one more point, win this point, win the next point, and that's how you take it.
That's hard though. I mean,
It
It's
is.
easy to talk about, but when you're in that mindset and you're up 5-2 and you're feeling comfortable and
Mhm.
you're picturing the pizza party or the ice cream after the match, and then you're 5-5. It's like, what the heck happened in the last three? But
Oh, those like that just brings me PTSD because I just remember I remember so many moments like that. Ugh.
that's
Okay.
funny. But I'm sure everyone's been there, and it's
Mhm.
yeah. Until you go through it, it's hard to really understand like how to bounce back from that. But you got to take your lumps sometime, I guess.
Yeah, that's what also makes a good coach. Like being in those moments. Sometimes I would, when I was younger, I was mad at my mom, like as we all are, and I'm like, you don't understand what it feels like. You don't know what I'm thinking, and so like having a coach who's been through some of those moments, like those don't make, that doesn't make the best coaches, but having a coach that understands what it really feels like to go from 5-2 to 5-5, and like what that pressure feels like, that also makes it better. Hopefully.
100%. And that's why the best coaches can do that. Maybe my last question, Crystal. So again, you've been one of the best tennis coaches on our platform. Just for because I love asking this one to some of our best coaches. For people who haven't gotten into tennis coaching, maybe they're a similar background to you, played in college, they played pro, whatever it is, and but they don't want to coach tennis full time. They want to keep,
Mhm.
a 9 to 5 or work in the business world, whatever it is. What's it been like coaching, not just through AU, but just in general, like tennis on the side, picking up lessons, working with clients? Like, would you recommend it to other college athletes? And if so, like what should they know that they're getting into from the validity standpoint, but also like a personal standpoint with the athletes? Like how fun is it to work with young kids and help them improve their
Yeah.
game?
I think I totally understand that because that's where I was. I was like, I don't want to go into coaching. Sometimes if you go into coaching full time, it stunts where you want to go. If you want to work in like as a sports manager or work in like an actual field or a 9 to 5. And so that was my mindset. And then I realized that you get opportunities from coaching and that it gives you extra income, but you're also like back on the court and being in your youth again. And another aspect of it was, in a way, kind of like just putting your knowledge on someone else. Like, how rewarding is it to help someone else and to give them all the training that you've had and refine that to make it right for them and so that they can have a better experience in the tennis world. That was like very rewarding. Apart from Athletes Untapped, I was also coaching like elementary school. That was really great because the kids they're there to have fun, and so you also like work on your skills and your abilities. It like helps you just stay in the now, in the moment, and I don't know, it just like brings like you just get to have fun. So I would say 100%. If you still want to do 9 to 5, like coaching just helps you like remain fit, remain agile, keeps your brain moving. You have to come up with lesson plans. Like it's a fun way to continue playing tennis. And a lot of people are deterred after playing college to continue playing tennis, but I would say that having an avenue where it's no longer like this thing that's like choking you, but it's something that like you can let go and relax and have fun with it and teach other people, that gives you like a different perspective.
That's so cool. And I feel like I've experienced that so much in my 20s coaching a bunch of athletes. And that's the biggest thing, too. No matter what you went through, you can
Mm-hmm.
always help somebody else go on a better path because of your coaching. So if you had a great high school, but terrible college, or vice versa, like you can help a young athlete navigate that as they go through the process and like teach them what to watch out for. So it's the skill stuff. It's obviously, a great second income if that's what you're doing. But ultimately, like we always say, and it sounds cheesy, but I think it's so true, you are changing lives when you work with an athlete. If you can build that relationship with them and help them get on a better path in life because of your coaching, that's ultimately why I think it's so much fun to be doing this. And I've seen it play out
Yeah.
for so many athletes. It sounds like you're in that same mode now. So yeah, I think it's for anyone who's on the fence about it, that's a really good summary of I think why it's awesome to coach and get into it. This has been so much fun, Crystal. I can't wait to share this. I think just based on your knowledge of the game, your background, like the mental side of the game too. There's
Mm-hmm.
so many clips we can share. So it should be out for people in a couple of weeks. And once it's live, we'll let everyone know. But again, thank you for your time and feedback. This has been truly a blast.
Perfect. Thank you so much. This was fun.